Well, it was one Morgan who cost QPR on Saturday against Portsmouth and another Morgan who saved QPR on Tuesday night against Coventry, with the 18-year-old defensive midfielder cancelling out Haji Wright's 4th-minute opener just 5 minutes after coming on as a second-half substitute. But while I'm pleased for Kieran, this was another below-par QPR performance against what turned out to be a fairly muted Coventry side, and the fact that we needed an 18-year-old to bail us out in just his second senior appearance speaks volumes of the position that this team and manager finds itself in. So let's break this one down, and if you enjoy the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Now, unsurprisingly, Cifuentes went for 4 changes from Saturday afternoon's disaster class. Clark Salter was a welcome return for Morgan Fox at centre-back, Varane took the place of Madsen in the middle next to Sam Field, Smith came in for Ashby, and Seller replaced Frey, who after running his bollocks off on Saturday missed out with a minor calf injury, meaning we're already down to just one of 2 strikers. The changes mattered very little to begin with though, because in what felt like an instant continuation from Saturday's passiveness, it took just 4 minutes for Coventry to open the scoring. Varane started well, stealing the ball and putting Dembele on the run, with his shot being pushed out for a corner. But when Paul Smith's resulting shot was blocked on the edge of the box, all it took was a gently steered ball away from De Silva for the Sky Blues to be on the counter, with Haji Wright, Thomas Asante and Van Evik breaking with power and pace. Pau blocked Thomas Asante's initial shot, but he was too easily allowed to put a dangerous ball to the back post, where Nardi blocked Van Evik's header at point-blank range. Our goalkeeper's teammates had no interest in helping him out though, with Dembele weakly steering the ball straight back into the path of Rudoni, who nudged the ball onto Thomas Asante and then onto Haji Wright to force the ball past the hands of Nardi and the feet of Cook to make it 1-0. It was just absolutely abysmal defending all round, and with not even 5 minutes played, it felt like it was going to be an incredibly long night. And to make matters worse, Kenneth Powell went down injured seconds after blocking Thomas Asante's first shot, meaning he was treated for the next few minutes before being rolled off the pitch. He limped off soon after as Coventry continued to go about putting QPR to the sword, and Koki Saito came on at 8 minutes to replace our only real left back at the club. I think you can probably tell why Cifuentes did not reach for Fox on this one. For the next 10 minutes or so, the usual traits kicked in as we've come to expect. We quite literally have no idea what to do from kickoffs, and Coventry pushed wide in their 3-5-2 formation as every other team has done at Loftus Road, and we had a hard time dealing with it. The irony though is that Coventry would have just one more shot in this half after scoring. If you're an optimist, you would say that's because from 15 minutes on we actually dominated the ball and kept Coventry quiet, but if you're a realist, you would say that they quite literally didn't need to attack us. There were QPR chances in this half, 10 of them in fact, but the vast majority were from range because we can rarely work our way into the opposition's box. On one of the few chances that did happen inside it on 15 minutes, Varane picked out Saito nicely on the wing, who skinned his man only for Field to spin it over the bar from the pullback. Considering he was playing as a left back, I have to say I thought Saito played exceptionally, not only defending well but causing some real problems down that left hand side, and rarely at the expense of leaving us open at the back. I said it in my Portsmouth reaction and I will say it again, getting him into this starting lineup permanently is essential for me going forwards. Chair reeled off another shot from distance on 22 minutes but could barely get it off the floor again, while Paul Smith cut inside 4 minutes later and produced an in-swinger that was much more exciting for the highlight reel but still ultimately wide of the post. These chances were still interspersed with problems though. For one, we could only really pass the ball out from the back to Dunn, who my best mate Tom, who is not a QPR fan, quite rightly said, that bloke doesn't look like a right back and I'm worried if he's your outlet. Another issue is that we were 5 or 6 yards behind the press at all times. I was on Loft for Words Patreon podcast last week and Simo made a great point about the fact that Cifuentes talked a hell of a lot about chaos pressing last season when he joined the club, a tactic which he instills in his teams to try and win the ball back within 7 seconds of high intensity pressure. That appears to have gone well and truly missing this season though, because by the end of this half we were practically playing walking football metres away from whoever had the ball for Coventry, which is totally inexcusable. Now I've defended Zan Seller a lot this season given his lack of minutes and service, but our very first opportunity in the second half epitomised his performance in this match, which is to say he was almost totally absent. Cook played a nice long ball out to Smith into space, who played an unusually excellent squared ball across the box, but Sella was miles off of even thinking of sticking a leg out for it. Just a few minutes later, he frustrated again when Varane won the ball well in the middle, only for the Slovenian to offer little in trying to capitalise on the resulting long ball. I met a lovely QPR fan called Milo on the tube home, shout out to Milo, who asked me how many goals Lyndon Dykes, Macaulay Bonne and Connor Washington had by this same point as Zan Sella. Well, to answer your question, Dykes scored 4 from his first 11, Bonne had 1 and Washington had 2. And that says it all. Just like his first start against West Brom, Sella was really not involved here, and I am becoming increasingly worried about him. Coventry came at us with more chances soon enough, looking likely to double their lead on 50 minutes when Haji Wright whipped in a dangerous cross, but Steve Cook made an excellent last-ditch tackle. Elias Chair unfortunately flattered to deceive again in this match, occupying some good spaces but uncharacteristically hitting wayward passes to Coventry players, and at one point quite literally off of the pitch. He looks a long way away from being the Chair of old that we could so desperately do with right now, which is why his substitution for Anderson alongside Kieran Morgan for Dembele was so understandable. And credit where it's due, this double change was a good one. The potential of having that extra central midfielder was seen almost instantly with a quick link up between Morgan, Anderson and Field, only for Sam to miss the final ball for the shot. I wouldn't go as far as to say we looked good, but Anderson added balance, quietly threading this disjointed side together, while Morgan displayed the same eagerness to play forward with pace and energy, which is exactly why he bagged himself his first senior goal on 63 minutes. It came out of nowhere really, with Jimmy Dunn shooting the ball into the channel for Paul Smith. His floated delivery looked like another frustrating ball that Sella was just too far ahead of at first, but there was 18-year-old Morgan out of nowhere, up past his bedtime, meeting it on the half volley and bouncing it beautifully off the pitch and into the back of the net. And if Marty's point wasn't made clearly enough with his substitution on Saturday, it was now. The guy doesn't even have his own Wikipedia page, and here he was showing 9 other fairly seasoned pros how to do it. And the most frustrating part is it fired this QPR team up for a little bit. Suddenly the intensity, the pressure, the energy that was so vacant in this first half was here in abundance. Sam Field was no longer falling over but making crunching tackles. The equalizer of course opened the game up briefly, with Nardi sparing us instant humiliation 2 minutes later by blocking Bobby Thomas's header and Josh Eccles' shot from range. We broke well on 75 minutes, but Smith couldn't quite put Anderson through for the shot, while Sella ignored another lovely Smith ball a minute later. Most frustratingly of all though, on 78 minutes, QPR had an undeniable Radoni handball inside the box from a corner, completely ignored by the ref. Marty made 2 more changes on 79 minutes, with Lloyd on for Sella, a completely valid choice, and Ashby on for Smith. The latter was frustrating because Smith was playing well at this point and he was proving to be a real threat, and our attack quietly switched off without him there, though some have suggested this change was due to injury. While Marty's initial 2 substitutions had improved us in this game, these 2 substitutions tipped us over the balance. Our intensity soon faded as quickly as it had arrived. We became a bit more naive and we regressed from attack, meaning Nardi was called upon once again at 88 minutes to make another good stop against substitute Ellis Sims. Lucas Anderson had a chance of his own at the death for the winner, but couldn't steer his header anywhere but the keeper's hands, and the whistle sounded out for full time straight after. Now I can't stress enough that I'm still not impressed with this performance, but unlike Saturday, I do have a few small positives. Saito was a real standout for me and put in a real shift out of position, and I hope he gets rewarded with a couple of starts going forward, though if Powell's injury is serious, it may continue to be at left back for the foreseeable. While Varane still had that tendency to go backwards at times, he made a few really good interceptions and some nice passes, and in a midfield 3, there is potential here for him to get us going forwards more often. I'm often critical of Smith, but he made some great deliveries, and it's a shame he came off when he did. Anderson too put in a cameo much more akin to what we came to expect from him last season, so I hope we see more of that going forwards. I cannot stress this enough though, that despite these small glimmers of promise, this still wasn't an acceptable QPR performance. As I said at the start, ultimately we needed an 18-year-old to bail us out for a point, to spare us from the very real possibility of a 5th consecutive loss in just his 2nd ever QPR performance against a Coventry team that really didn't offer too much threat after going ahead so early. Kieran Morgan fully deserved his goal, and I hope we see more of him in the coming games as a result. But, and I mean this with full respect, the fact that he's not even a player that has been completely eye-catching in either of these 2 appearances, rather he's just done the basics well that you would expect from a footballer, and he's still got himself on the score sheet ahead of the rest of these players, perfectly sums up how much this squad is underperforming. Again, that is by no way meant to be a slight of Kieran Morgan. That was a goal that came through sheer determination, and I'm glad he showed the rest of them up with it. Just like Portsmouth on Saturday, though, I do worry that we still couldn't beat a team that finds itself in a very similar position to our own, and the fact that we are somehow not even the bottom of the three is quite staggering. At the end of the day, this was a must-win game ahead of a very tough 4 games now. I know many say that QPR turn up against the top teams, but if we start any of them as weakly or naively as we did on Tuesday night, they will punish us considerably more than Coventry. And with the potential of being without our starting left back and potentially down to just one striker who is yet to find the back of the net and doesn't look like doing so soon, things could well get worse before they get better. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this match reaction. As usual, do let me know what you thought of this match in the comments below. If you're new to the channel and you liked what you see, please do hit like and subscribe to be kept alerted of future content, and I'll hopefully see you in my next video for my Burnley match preview. Cheers!